All the work boxes on this wall are wired in with 12 gauge. There's a 20 amp circuit. I need to run a wire from one of these boxes back to the breaker panel. On the front porch where the columns meet up at the ceiling, it's kind of complicated. You can see those angles cut out of those little trim pieces. Well, I just did that using one of these oscillating, vibrating tools with this little wood cutting blade on there. But the gist of how I did this, probably what I should have done is trimmed all this out, on here first, and then did this trim, but that's not how I did it. So what I did to cut that out, take a piece of Luan, which is how I'm going to kind of finish off the top of this column, stuck that against here, and then stuck the vibrating tool flat against that, and then slid it up against this, this stuff, and that'll give me just the blade's thickness of play to get that up in there like that. So now I've got this angle on a T-bevel. I'll scribe that on there, and then start fitting in all my pieces. So it's a bit of a puzzle work, but it's only 3 columns. skinned over this with some Luan, and then it's got the aluminum flashing or aluminum wrap on the outside. But you can see all that alligatored up paint. I'm going to cover that up. And I've already done it here. A little strip of Luan. And then some of this stuff. Some of this PVC outside, whatever you call this, outside corner trim. So just took some of that. Basically just pushed the Luan up against the aluminum trim and then wrapped that joint there. And then went back in and caulked it all up. Caulked it all up on any visible joints, and then once it's painted, it'll all kind of blend in nicely. And the same thing goes for these kind of little extensions just to trim things out. It just is to clean it up. I understand it, you know, might look a little odd, but once everything is painted, it just kind of cleans it all up and it all kind of disappears.
Thank you to SimpliSafe for sponsoring this video. SimpliSafe is an easy-to-use, customizable home security system that is free from contracts and hidden costs. After setting up your system, your home is monitored 24/7 with the ability to check in at any time on your phone. They have sensors to cover every window, room, and door, plus lots of great extras like water sensors, smoke detectors, HD cameras, and doorbell cameras. Systems can be designed and ordered on the SimpliSafe website and quickly shipped to your door. They've also launched a new wireless outdoor security camera that features an ultra-wide 140-degree field of view so you can keep a watch over your entire outdoor space. It includes 8x zoom and a built-in spotlight with color night vision. Two-way audio will let you listen as well as speak to someone on your property. SimpliSafe's interactive monitoring service begins at only 50 cents a day. For this low price, their team of professionals will call the police if alerted to anything. With having a home and a family, a security system was high on my priorities. SimpliSafe offers quality equipment at a fair price that is simple to use. Combine that with the protection it offers at 50 cents a day and I was sold. It took me no more than an hour to set up the system, with most sensors mounting with adhesive back strips, and connecting the sensors to the base station is intuitive using the keypad. I have mostly relied on the entryway sensors to keep up with people coming and going, but the outdoor security camera paired with the SimpliSafe app is quickly becoming one of my favorite tools. I can open up the live view anytime, at home or on the go, to see who's on my porch or in the yard. Visit simplisafe.com/homemadehome to learn more and to get at least 30% off your SimpliSafe security system.
One of the lines on my to-do list is to better attach those two strips. So the plywood that they're nailed to has a slight curve in it because of what that's nailed to. And then these have popped loose, so I'm going to get those back down with a screw. But if I put a screw in it, it could split this, and then also you're going to have an unsightly head on the screw. So using this tool right here, which is a pilot hole countersink bit, the drill bit portion of it does a pilot hole, and that keeps it from splitting it. And then that portion right here does a countersink for the head, so it makes the head of the screw under the surface, and then you can spackle that hole to where you don't see a screw head. And again, you just don't want to split that, so a screw's got good holding power. Nails are great for pinning things in place, and especially when there's no stresses on stuff, all this type of trim's just nailed in place. But then every once in a while you'll end up with situations like this where a screw's going to help. So I'll pin it in place at the top and then pull that in tight at the bottom. So there's that. Just used fencing boards. These were 8-foot fencing boards. They are 5/8 inch thick, just have the bandsaw mill texture on the outside and treated. It's all hovering a 1/2 inch off the ground pretty much. I didn't worry about, cutting the bottom flush like a clean line with the ground. Once the grass kind of grows up against that, it'll be good enough, and it's good enough in my opinion, even if you can see it. I did leave out that one last little piece that I really can't do anything about, so I might end up doing something about that, but I really think it's just fine. Now I need to think about like what color I want to do all this. I'm thinking I need to paint this porch to match the other one, so just painting the handrails and the kick plates or whatever they're called, risers, on the steps. So I would do that in white, and then this would need to be done in something else because it would get stuff splashing up on it. It would look rough over time. So welcome your ideas. Yeah, I could just wood stain it out something, just, roughly what you see here, what this is sort of weathered to right now. All this will turn gray over time, but just sort of a brown tone, I don't know, it might look okay. Or just do some sort of a transparent or solid stain just on the darker side, just something that will weather nicely. Now over here, I think I'm just going to leave it open. I thought about maybe just closing it in the same way, just right in this spot, but in case I need to get up onto there for some reason, I kind of like the idea of leaving it open, and it's obscured by the bush. I mean, you can see it from that angle the slightest bit, but it's not really objectionable. It's just some framing. And but just from this side, I just wanted to kind of clean it up, since the concrete steps were still under there, just to where you didn't see those. So, get a view. Bad lighting right now, but you get the idea. I think this is all I'm going to do for now in this video. Wait, no, I got one more thing. I need to get up in here and finish the painting right up in there. Need to paint those white. I'll do that, and then we'll call it. Here's the results. So, nothing special. Just cleaning it up. Probably had to hit it twice, but that gives you an idea. And then I also had to kind of paint under there where I added that trim. That's going to be it for this video. In the next one, what I'm thinking I'm going to be doing is going back down in the basement and painting the walls and the floor. I already bought 2 5-gallon buckets, some Kills or whatever brand primer I got, 5 gallons of that, and then 5 gallons of floor paint. I won't need all this, but I'll use it somewhere else. But I'm going to paint the walls white, the floor gray, and I've even thought to kind of paint the framing, the underneath of the floor and the framing in the first room at the bottom of the steps, kind of just a dark color. Just it looks rough, and it's just some flat black or something would disguise it. White would just make it all look like a mess, I think, but might end up doing that. But going to start with I don't know, probably the walls, and then I'll roll the floor. And I don't know if I do the ceiling or not, but I don't know if there's anything to report. I'm really kind of whittling the list down to a bunch of nitpicky stuff at this point, like what you saw in this video, kind of jumping all around. I'm getting very, very close. I could probably go ahead and have the inspection now, but I don't want to have a bunch of stuff that looks rough and undone. I think if you, and I've said this before, when you're having your inspections, if you can have the place look the best you can, not have tons of stuff undone, clean up, sweep up, throw your trash away. If you got a bunch of materials, kind of get it organized, make things easy to see. And then all along, if you're doing your work and you do kind of neat work, like, with your electrical and stuff like that, I think it just helps you out. Of course, you want them to catch certain stuff. A lot of times people are trying to get away with things on inspections, but you don't really want to get away with something when it comes to your electric and comes to your plumbing. You want the stuff to function correctly, and then of course you don't want it to be dangerous. So inspections are a good thing most of the time. Now there are times when you're doing renovations where you really, there's a gray area between whether or not you can follow code or not, because you basically have to tear a house down like this to follow the code completely. So there's sort of a mix of blending what you're dealing with and code. So you're kind of
trying to retrofit code into a house like this, and it's not always possible by the book. So depending on who you get as inspector, some of them are a little more understanding, and then some inspectors have more actual experience building and have a more of an understanding versus just having been trained as an inspector to look for a checklist. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but I've encountered them. I've encountered inspectors that had a contracting businesses in the past, and then I've had inspectors that probably couldn't build a birdhouse. So when you get one that hasn't built anything, it's like they have no understanding at all of the flexibility. They just look at the book, and then it's just like, sorry, you can't do this. And you're like, but look at the situation. You cannot do that. And then usually it ends up involving them having to call somebody and then them letting you bow on whatever it is. So for whatever reason, people are always so interested on building permits and inspections. I don't know why. There's nothing to it. You just go down to your local building department and pay for a building permit. You just tell them roughly what you're doing, about how much it costs. They tell you how much it's going to be. Some building permits get very expensive in certain places. Mine are normal, I guess I'd say. But if you have a building permit for some $20 million building or something like that, your building permit's going to be very expensive. But most residential stuff, and they don't make you prove it. You could put an addition onto the house and tell them it's going to cost $1,000 if you wanted to. They don't really care. And that might be pushing it, but most renovation type stuff, they're not gonna, because like I have no idea how much stuff's going to cost before I get started. It's just, you don't know, until you got a house out really roughly what it's going to be, and even then it's pretty unpredictable because you don't know what kind of decisions you're going to make all along. All right, that's more talking I wanted to do. I just wanted to basically say the video's over, and thank you for watching. So that is about it. I will see you in the next one.